Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my beautiful souls from all around the world. Today, I have for you a beautiful angel. Her name is Fallon Jordan, and she's a transformative coach, a Reiki healer, also known as the Home Alchemist. And we'll get to know a little bit more about that. As the founder of Declutter Mind and Home, Fallon is dedicated to helping individuals and families to co create intimate, meaningful relationships, and beautiful, harmonious living spaces through holistic strategies. Fallon is also certified in ADHD and dyslexia specialist, brain health coach, and corporate trainer and functional medicine coach. Hi, my beautiful angel. How are you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm so grateful and honored to be here. This is literally a dream come true.
Dreams come true every day for whichever reason, whichever path, we're all connected, right? In divine timing. I would love to hear about your way to create that alchemy in your home because you do walk by that path and you do believe that truly the home, the environment that we create has to be aligned with our soul path and our soul mission. Would you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Absolutely. So I was always very fascinated by the brain when I was little and always fascinated by organizing things. And I came from a family who was like very obsessed with antiques, which I thought was very interesting because there's so much energy tied to something that has been around for so long. And we would literally go antiquing on the weekends as a family. So I always saw this vision of, the home is a reflection of your essence, which based on my family's background, like old, weird stuff kind of resonated with them. And so when I went to college and I was just kind of floundering around trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I knew that at some point I was going to do some type of professional organizing stuff. God led me to holistic mental health and neuroscience and answered a lot of questions I'd also had just about, what's our connection to ourselves, our connection to other people? Why do we do the things that we do? And when I was going through this process of really taking care of myself and my mental health and my brain, that's when I started really having a strong connection to God, universe, the divine, and all these beautiful things opened up. And so I created my business. I got the Decluttered Mind and Home download. And then just recently in the past year, I got the download for the Home Alchemist. And I was like, oh my God, this is so perfect because it's really about everything that the home as itself. So the design, the energy, but then all of the people inside. And especially going through the pandemic, so many people were struggling with, am I connected to the people that live here? Why do I feel stuck? Or why do I feel like I can't do the things that I want to do or say the things that I want to say to these people who mean so much to me? And that's when I started doing my own work because, you always attract what you need to work on. And so, being vulnerable, being raw, not being afraid of intimacy was something that I really dove headfirst into over the past year. And it's really just developed into this beautiful method and this beautiful way of looking at our relationships, our home, and just how it all plays off of each other energetically.
So for you, it's very important, like when you work with someone, that the home environment is truly aligned with what they want to be in life.
Exactly. Yeah. And like we were sharing, I just got this beautiful new desk and I was so excited about my background. And it just turned out that it's like kind of just like a blank canvas right now. But I'm looking at my space and, I have natural life brand stuff, which I'm like obsessed with. It's all like bright flowers, floral. And I love pink and anything that's like texture savvy and like comfortable. And so I saw this post actually yesterday and it's like my 12-year-old self would be so proud. And I was like, wow, if my 12-year-old self knew I would live in this place with all these things that I always wanted and they were mine and I got to do all of these amazing things to get them to being with me and providing joy and connection in my life. It's just like so mind-blowing to think how much it really matters. And when I'm going through this approach with my clients, it's like sometimes it's the first time they've really been aware of having a certain color or having a certain object in their home and not having the happiest connection to it and not realizing until we remove it how much it was actually hindering them from their goals.
It's so interesting because, and you were speaking about vintage. I usually stay away from vintage because I'm like, I don't know what energy is imprinted in it before.
Exactly.
But people are so attracted to like vintage. I'm like, that is
Yeah.
so much. How do you approach that subject with your clients? Do you advise any energy clearing? Do you do anything like that for them?
So typically what happens, and again, this is like what I've been attracting recently, is there's people who have lived in a home for a very long time and they've had the same stuff for a long time. And so it's the first time where we're doing what I call the subconscious walkthrough. It's kind of a beautiful way to use your eye and cerebellum connection in your brain to your advantage. And we go through this process and they realize that this object makes them feel sad or dirty or outdated. And then I'm like, well, how do you feel like that reflects in your life? And then they'll share some insights. And then we'll be like, who gave this to you? And they'll share some insights. It just kind of opens up this box where they realize, like, oh, wow, like this is something that was given to me by someone who doesn't make me feel good about myself. And I need to go through this kind of grieving process because a lot of the reason people don't get rid of things is because of guilt. And so we go through this process. And what would someone who really loves you want for you? Like they would want the best for you and they would want you to be in an environment that is lifting you up and helping you experience harmony and connection and joy. And do you feel like this object is doing that? And so we kind of walk through that therapeutic process for them to realize it themselves. Because as we know from some of the like the Hollywood shows about like organization and hoarding and things like that, you don't ever want to just be like told you need to get rid of something because I can feel the sadness. I mean, I'll go into someone's house and I can immediately feel the things that are pointing out to me like very trauma response and it's affecting this person's health and I can actually like start to feel it in my body what their physical ailments are, but I need them to come to that realization and we go through a very slow process of doing that together.
There was something that you mentioned before, and I just had this visual when you said that you had this desk and the 12-year-old version of you would be so happy.
Yeah.
The visual that just came through, I feel like a lot of work that you do with the clients is to help them design that dream space that they had. And it's usually the teenager that wasn't spoiled or the child. So the part of your life that actually needs the most healing, then you design your home for that specific person. If that person is 15, great. If they're 7, great. But that is who you design that healing environment. Does that feel right to you?
I'm like about to cry because that's exactly what it's like. So my teenage room, everything was antique, dark cherry. It had been passed down generations. There's a lot of generational trauma that I didn't realize was so profound at that time. And just a lot of my stuff was like maroon and dark green and like quilt patterns. And like none of that resonates with me, like at all. And it wasn't until I moved into a brand new apartment, had just been built. They finished painting it the day before I moved in. And I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be in a new, expansive space. And the way that it was designed and just the reasons that I was kind of starting over with my life, I was like, I can create this into whatever I want. And so I was doing a lot of inner child work at the time. And it's like, what would, 12 to 16-year-old Fallon really want? And it's like, she would want a lot of flowers and she would want a lot of pink and she want everything to be comfortable and to make just, it's art. It's like, I'm living in art. And when people come over, they're like, oh, this is where Fallon lives. Like, this is definitely her home because it reflects my essence.
When you did that for yourself, when you built that room exactly how the teenage part of you wanted, how did that impacted your life? And was that something that happened really fast, or did it take a while to notice a difference in every area of your life?
It happened so fast that my friends and I kind of forgot how like a month had been in my new place with my new stuff. And they're like, I can't believe you've been here a month. It feels like you've been here a year. Like it feels like this is the upgraded version of yourself that you were meant to be this whole time. And all of this stuff and whatever was holding you back. And so when I wake up in my room and I get to see my like adorable boho side table, my cute little lamp, I have all of my little crystals. That's the first thing that I see when I wake up, right? To turn my alarm off. And I'm like, this is making me so happy. Like it's setting my brain up for success. I immediately go into my mantras without having to have a reminder because I'm just surrounded by the stuff that I love and I don't have to feel guilty about it. Like, this is my space. I can do with it whatever I want. And when I'm doing my gratitude list every day, I talk about how grateful I am for my home and just how proud I am that I get to live in this space with these beautiful things that for so long I would have felt weird, especially if I was like with a roommate or something like that. Like, I like to have my pictures of my angels everywhere and I like to have my crystals everywhere. And I like my house to be very clean and organized, but also comfortable and just looking lived in. That's the thing too. I always tell people I want your house to look lived in. I don't want it to look perfect. It's about it being totally and authentic to you and what you want in your full highest alignment and not listening to other people or magazines tell you to do.
So in a way, when you work with someone, you help them design the environment that matches exactly the person they want to be. And
Exactly.
wouldn't that be like one of the first step to your healing, because your environment affects you up to 90%?
A hun
So making a space that is has every element that you absolutely adore that represents you, that is literally the first step on claiming your voice, your worth, your value. And
Mhm.
I've never seen it that way, but you present it in such a beautiful way, and I feel like that should be the first step to claiming your power, your worth as an individual.
100%, and I learned that in multiple many different ways, and it's just, when I work with a client, even if we're doing, like, business consulting, whatever it happens to be that we're doing and that they hired me for, we do decluttering first, and it brings up a lot of stuff, and we usually have, 2 weeks where, we're doing check-ins every day. They're telling me what they're feeling because they're going through a grieving process. And, if you read any of Marie Kondo's work, like, you might break out or you might have GI distress. Like, your body is literally detoxing all of these things because of the energy that was tied to them and however that was kind of bringing you down, and just knowing that it's okay to outgrow things. I tell people all the time, like, you can go into your closet, and even if you just bought that dress that you loved 6 months ago, but now you're not feeling it, like, it's okay to say, like, thank you, but I don't need you anymore. I want you to go to a happier home. Instead of us just like having this, hoarding mindset where we feel like we have to keep more things around. We might need it for X, Y, or Z reason versus who am I today and how am I going to embody the fullest essence of myself. And if I decide to change and be, different tomorrow and like I'm going to wear orange every day for a month, like that's totally okay. If that's what my spirit's telling me, which is most likely I'm doing some sacral healing, like that's totally okay. And that's where just starting your day from the most grateful, intuitive place is important. And that starts with the first few things that you see when you wake up and then everything else that comes into your field of vision, whether you're present of that or not in your home.
Do you apply a lot of feng shui? Like, what is your method of aligning the person with their home and the things they need to have around?
So the first thing that we do is called a subconscious eye cerebellum walkthrough. It's like a really easy way for them to make decisions without getting like kind of letting that ego anxiety take over. And so they get pretend like they're getting out of bed and they have a journal and so a journal with paper and then a pen, and they open and close their eyes from their bed and then immediately write down the first three things that come to their mind. And so they do that process of taking a few steps with their eyes open, of course, but then they close them, take a few breaths, open quickly, and then shut them again, write their three things down that they feel. So it takes a long time. It's the first homework assignment that they do. And then we go through the journal together later. And then they just pay attention to the words that they wrote down and see what are some of the common words that came up for you. And then when I arrive, we talk about, like in my hallway, for example, that's the forefront of my home. It's the center of my home. Why wouldn't I put my fairy, who I feel like is helps me stay rooted and makes me feel safe and connects me? That's where she is meant to be right now. And so we figure out like where are the most optimal spaces, because what often happens, and it's not necessarily on purpose, but if I didn't understand the way that this process works, like that could have been where I had a painting from a distant friend that gave it to me and I didn't even like it then, but I feel guilty if I don't have it there. And the next time they come over, they don't see it there, they're going to get upset. That's what I would say 90% of the actual work that I do with my clients is do you now understand how much this is affecting you? You actually tricked your brain into finding the real emotional connection that this object in this space was interfering for you. We need to go through this process of you understanding that it's okay to put something there that makes you really happy. And the number of people who wake up to a nightstand and a lamp that they don't even really like or doesn't have the energy frequency that they are wanting is very interesting because that's the first point of contact that you have when you wake up in the morning.
I wanted to address the items, and then you mentioned that some of the things are difficult to let go. And you have people that have maybe items from their past partner or maybe parents that had passed away, and they hold on to those items for dear life, but without realizing how much space that takes from new things to come in. Can you share some examples of someone actually going for it and letting go of all those items that doesn't belong to them, and how did their life shift afterwards?
Absolutely. So I've experienced this myself. I've experienced it with friends. I've experienced with clients. And when you start to pay attention to the work of contracting, so holding and then expanding and being open to receive, what I see happen is they're actually being expansive. They're making space for more. The universe is like, oh, they're ready to receive more. I'm going to give them this amazing opportunity in love. I'm going to give them this amazing opportunity in business. Like they are open and ready. We can now do this. And you never know how much something holds you back until you get rid of it and you start experiencing these miracles. And it's just really, really incredible how when you start, just even if it's just one or two things, I've had clients who we had to go very slow. The first thing we did was replace their nightstands, for example. And like that, just setting up their day for more positive thoughts, them remembering to do, the affirmations, the meditation, instead of getting caught up in their phone and anxiety first thing in the morning. It's really creating miracles because how your morning goes has a big dictation of what you are capable of receiving or not receiving when because you're in contraction mode.
Do you find it difficult for those people who, let's say, they split up with somebody else and they're still holding on to those things? Like, how is that impacting them from finding love again or opening the door to something new?
Yeah, and it's interesting because we kind of have that stereotype, right, of that special hidden box under the bed or that special hidden box deep in the garage. And if it's something that is close to you and makes you happy, I always say, let's have it out in the open. It shouldn't be something that's like you feel ashamed of or is secretive. And especially if it's someone that you've lost, that's why I love this amazing community that I have of people who can help with people who are on the other side or just anything related to grief and seeing the higher picture. I mean, I've been through quite a few breakups, and I mean, the first thing I do is just like throw everything away before I even have to get stuck thinking about being attached to it. And it's like that energy just helps clear out and like help me reset on like, okay, like who am I? What do I really want? What do I really stand for? What are the lessons that I learned? And how am I going to create more joy in my life from having this experience, even though it was incredibly painful? And I believe we definitely want to feel all of our feelings about it, just like, a lot of people skip over grief about everything. But I believe grief is almost a daily practice with being in 2023 3D type of world that is just important for us to do everything that we can to support our highest good. And to me, like the easiest, fastest thing to do is to just make sure everything around you is impacting you in a positive way.
In other words, when you wake up, when you walk through your home, make sure everything your eyes touch up on makes you smile,
Ah,
makes you feel good, makes you feel light instead of, oh, there you go again.
well, and it's crazy. Like our eyes are so magical, right? Everything that goes through your eyeballs, whether you're paying attention to it or not, is going into your brain, and your brain is deciding how to use that information. And for everyone that's listening, I'm giving you access to my Be Alchemic masterclass, which is my method, and it goes into a deeper science as from my brain nerd life. of how incredible it is that everything is literally going through your eyeballs and being transmitted, even if you aren't paying attention to it. And
Mm.
it's just one of the cool things of why things like visualization can actually be good, right? Like they always say, like visualize yourself in the house with the partner. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? Everything about that experience. And then your brain doesn't know that that's not technically what's happening in your 3D reality. And it makes it easier to manifest. It's that power of how beautiful our brains are and our eyes are, and using that to our advantage.
So if you want a beautiful life, it has to start with the space that you are residing in most of the time, because that is,
Exactly.
we have a saying in Romanian is how you make your bed, that is how you're going to live.
Wow, I love that.
It's like how you make your room, how you make your home, that is how you live, because you set the standards for what is allowed and what is okay. For me, it's like I love my house to be clean. I love everything to be organized, and we even have a robot that cleans like 2, 3 times between
I
us.
love
Like, the floor has to be immaculate because that's directly related to your abundance. If you have dirty floor, you can't things coming in. There's so much we can do with our space. I wanted to. There was a question that was coming through, and I feel like it just went away. It had something to do with color. When you help somebody develop or build that environment around them, how important is color and which colors should we gear away from?
So I'm really big into color, and you're probably somewhat getting a vision of my bed because it's like very, very colorful and bright and has all the flowers. And so I help people just heal their relationship with color. So I had a client who was struggling to get pregnant. And so it's like, oh, have you ever heard of incorporating more orange into your bedroom? Because it helps with your sacral and all of those things. And she was like, "Yeah, I can't do that because orange reminds me of my abusive ex-boyfriend. Like everything in our apartment was orange." So I encouraged her to, see a healer to heal some of that residual stuff from that relationship and heal the color with orange because orange is happy. I mean, it's the sun, it's our life force energy. So she had to kind of reframe that color. In typical feng shui, the biggest only rule is like no red in the bedroom, which is so funny because,
I used to have red for years. It used to be one of my favorite colors. My whole bedroom was red.
so funny. And then it's also like, what's your personality, right? Like I'm very like fiery, even though I'm an earth sign technically. Like I just have fire in like every
Same.
other aspects of me. So I do need a balance of like blues and teals to kind of cool and calm things down. But one of the cool things about the brain is that the colors blue and green, especially when you are trying to focus on things, can actually activate certain parts of your brain for creativity. So I always encourage entrepreneurs to have their desk either facing something that is blue or green, whether it's the wall or a painting, or ideally the sky and trees. Because again, you don't know what's happening, but it goes through your eyeballs and it's being registered to your brain, which is I am safe, I am relaxed, I am grounded, and it helps you with some amazing ideas. I like to say less is more. So I'm not a fan of like a house that's just like everything's white, especially if you have kids and a dog. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But also just paying attention to not just the colors, but the fabrics as well. And understanding, like, I didn't have a couch for a year because I was like, I haven't found the couch yet. And I'm not just getting a couch to have a couch. And I feel like we do that a lot. I'll meet someone like, oh, I just moved in. I'm going shopping for everything in my apartment today. And I'm like, how can you do that? I'm like, well, maybe spirit's gonna be so good to you and it's just gonna open everything that you have been dreaming about. But for me, that's not how things happen. It's been in stages and just, paying attention to the energy that I want in certain spaces. And when I was, shopping for my couch, I'm like, I really wanted a teal couch and I wanted it to be very plush, but I wanted to make sure that my four-legged nieces and nephews could jump on and off of it and it would be like easy to clean. And I didn't think I would like living somewhere where all the walls are white and the counters are white, and now I'm addicted, and I'll probably have that as a standard in my homes because there's so much color in everything else in my home. And some people they like to have more, heavy color on their walls and then having less patterns on other things. So I think it's just finding the balance of what works for you and helps you with your core feelings for your home. So my core feelings in my home are joy, play, and creativity. And so all of the things that I make decisions about are based on that. And that's not just colors, but that's like things. Like I have a mini trampoline that makes me feel creative and it helps me with my ideas and it helps me feel
I'm
playful. It's
laughing
like,
because I have my trampoline outside too. I use it every morning.
oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. I'm so obsessed. And so it's really just finding out what you really like because some people don't know what they really want,
Mm.
you know, and they start paying attention to how certain things make them feel versus just like, oh, that looks okay, or like this looks comfortable or whatever. But it's like, no, how does it make you feel? And then when you turn into your feelings and bring it back to the big picture of like, what are your core feelings for your home and your life? Then you start making that process a lot easier. Cause I think we all know shopping and buying stuff is not something that we typically struggle with in America. It's more like being happy with the things that we have. And I always want to buy things that I absolutely love it, have to have it, versus just buying things just to buy things. And
Just
like, sure.
because.
Yeah.
And they reflect so much, and it's like how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you
Yes.
environment to build it like, no, this is my standard. I want this because that's what makes me feel the best. I'm not just gonna settle for anything. Then you're literally sending the same message to everything in your life, to your relationship, to your finances, to your career. You
Mhm.
touched up on two amazing things. One is building not only filling up your home with things that you love that makes you feel good, but also doing it according to your personality. So in the place that you reside the most, like the bedroom, and if you have a fiery personality, maybe you do a counteractive color.
Yeah.
So you build your environment not only to set your personality, but also to make you feel good because we are visual creatures.
100%. Yeah. I have a lot more brightness in my kitchen and my bedroom, and then a lot more coolness in my living room because I'm learning to be still and to like take time for myself. And I try to make a rule if I'm on my couch that I don't have my phone, I don't have my computer. I'm there to meditate, rest, or watch something funny. And then my bedroom obviously is a no work zone anyway. And then the kitchen's a place where we create, and the kitchen is where people come over and like we hang out and we laugh and we share things about our life. So I have a lot of my special items in my kitchen, like my books and a lot of my crystals, my pink sparkly trees that I just had to have, just my little gnomes that look over everything.
I'm hearing a loud question from the collective of the gifts that we receive. And this is so like connected to, because I truly believe that any gift that we receive from another person, every time we touch or we use that gift, it's actually creating this energy portal. And we constantly like sharing energy with that person. So that gift is not really a gift, it's a portal of energy connection between you and the other person.
Yeah.
What is your take on receiving gifts, especially gifts from people that are not necessarily aligned with you? What do you do with that?
So I'm going to share a story. So I have a very complicated relationship with my family of origin and always had. And then I had a repressed memory come back that just kind of solidified why things have always felt so off. And when I was moving and like wanting to kind of start over, I realized almost everything in my house was given to me by my parents. And I was like, I can't keep any of this. I mean, like furniture, decor, plates, cups, coolers, you name it. And I was like, I literally told my friends, I was like, I know you think I'm losing my mind, but like, I am getting rid of all of this stuff. Like, I have to. I can't have any energy cord attachment. And I want you to know that everything is going to be okay. And I'm going to slowly build all these things back. I just trust that this is the right thing for me because I moved into a place that was double the rent of the place I was before. I just bought also a new car because that symbolism of, you know, safety and moving through your life. Like also my intuitive told me I needed to do that. So my cost of living was like 2.5 times greater. So my friends were kind of like, we just want to make sure you're not doing anything impulsive. And ever since I moved here and just started and did the things that felt in tune for me, everything has just been like my life is just so beautiful. And it's like really crazy that after everything that's happened, that I feel so joyful and so grateful to be where I am. And when I do receive gifts, because I've worked so hard on my healing and my energetic ties to other people, I don't ever get a gift from someone that I don't absolutely love and like happy cry receiving from someone who I have a really amazing energy attachment to. And I always tell people that that's the whole point. You know, if someone's giving you something just to give you something, or for me, I felt like my mom was trying to imprint on my house by buying me all of this stuff. And when I detached from it, I can actually like feel it on my hands. It's crazy. Then it helps this like detachment happen from that trauma. I love shopping for the perfect gift for somebody. That's like one of my favorite things to do. And I just had trouble receiving the perfect gift from the perfect people. And since I've really committed to only being surrounded by people, places, and things that resonate with what I want for my life, just all these amazing things have happened. And I personally don't have to struggle that anymore. But that's where that process is just important for people to really tune into, like, how does this sweater that your mother-in-law make you feel versus like just having it, and really just paying attention to the energy of those things. And again, Marie Kondo is a genius. Like, if it doesn't bring you joy, like it doesn't really need to be in your life. And you need to also understand that there is a grieving process, period. And there's so many healers and amazing people out there that can help you throughout that process. And that's what they're here to do. And that's why I'm so grateful for you and people in our community, because I mean, I am always needing to collaborate with healers on the stuff that comes up literally with my clients.
That's not even getting into what the other entities and beings can be in your house from before. Now we get into an entire plethora of things.
Yeah, I have experienced some really beautiful portals and I've experienced some really scary portals. And, you know, having someone who I can call and like we collaborate on making sure things are set the way that they need to be for everyone's highest and best is so important. And that's why I love when I do work with clients, that it's like they understand it's kind of an all or nothing process, because so many things are going to come up and things are going to shift and change, and you're always going to have the support, and you're always going to have the perfect modality and the perfect person supporting you. It's not just me, it's me and an amazing team and your spiritual team as well.
It takes a team, it takes a village, all hands on deck. I feel like we set up such a beautiful place to go on a journey. Would you please guide our VIP members on a beautiful journey to get a taste of your angelic power?
I would love that.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. I had this visual of a home, and it truly makes a huge difference to this is kind of how I saw it when a mother holds its baby
Mhm.
and you're looking for the nourishing, the motherly love and in her arms for, those few moments when your baby, you just felt so safe, so protected. It almost felt that it's so imperative to build our environments, our homes into those sanctuaries, because our home, it's actually becoming that mother that is holding us as that baby. And we
That's
still need that for the rest of our lives.
I love that. Yeah, it was so interesting when I did my practice this morning. I just look myself in the eyes and I say, I love you. I'm here for you. What do you need today to be your highest and best self? How can I support you? And I heard be held, like you need to be held.
Wow.
And I was like,
Love the synchronicity.
so that's really beautiful. And just for me, that's just so affirming and beautiful, because learning to remother myself, knowing that I can be my mother, I can be a mother to a lot of people just from, having that nurturing standpoint. So that means a lot. I'm so
Mm.
grateful through.
Usually the very thing that we don't have as children, become the master of giving the very thing we didn't have. So
Exactly, my friends tell me all the time, they're like, "You're gonna be such a good mom," and I, for so long, was just like, "That's not a possibility for me, like, I can't do it," and as I've healed, I'm like, "Yeah, if that's what spirit wants for me, like, I'm totally open to it," and it's just crazy how when you're asking, like, about shifts, how fast they can happen. I mean, I literally just woke up one day and was like, "Yeah, I'm not terrified of being a mother anymore,"
that
and
is one of the toughest jobs too, because as a mother, it's like it doesn't matter how many books you read.
yeah.
It doesn't matter how perfect you are, there's still gonna be that one time you went to the bathroom instead of lifting the baby, and the baby's like, "Oh, don't deserve to be loved," and there you have it. Like, there's no such thing as perfect mothering, but we do the best we can.
100%. And I know that you have just like an amazing community to support you in that. So that's what it's all about too. And just really honoring that, like, yes, you could be a mother, you could have these children, but it's about us all taking care of each other and having the sense of community and just knowing that we are worthy of love in all the different capacities.
Well, it makes sense because if you think about like before when we had the tribes, when a new child would appear, the whole village was helping and raising that child. Now it's like, nope, you're you gotta do it all by yourself, your partner. So it's
Yeah.
like we just made our work so much harder, so much bigger versus being in a community. Like it makes a whole difference. We're meant to be in community. We're not meant to do things on our own because it's tough. It takes so much time and effort to do all of that.
I know. I One of my friends is a builder and we know at some point like something big is gonna come to us. But we have this vision of, like being in a neighborhood, but it's like the people that you love are there. And there is that community mindset. Like there's the gym and the pool and the childcare center and like there's someone does the gardening, someone is the healer, someone helps you around the house and just everyone has their unique gifts and shares it together, but actually in a physical community. And also in the visions that we get, it's almost having like that king and queen suite so that like you're able to restore your energy. Just even us making it seem like you have to, like when you have a partner, like you sleep together every single night in the same bed and you're together all the time. And it's like, it's just not conducive to keeping your energy where it needs to be. Like you need to have your own alone time. And my friend and I kind of have this vision of just building houses in a very different way so that people have their own space to just be and do the things that they need to do uninterrupted. And then also just encouraging people to be more outside and to have more natural light. Because where are you? In Cali?
I was in Cali. I'm in Seattle. I'm actually
Yeah.
surrounded by greenery, so I'm
So, yeah, and the
everywhere
way
I look, there are trees and yeah, it's
and builders there, they have a lot more glass and they have a lot there's less, like, walls and more glass. Here in Atlanta and in some of the other bigger cities on the East Coast, it's like the houses are huge, but the windows are small and the patios are small, and it's like, no wonder your kids don't wanna be outside, there's no space for them to go.
what do you think about earthing homes?
I'm actually sitting on my earthing mat right now.
Mine is actually under my chair, but
Yeah, me too.
but I'm
Yeah,
talking about the homes they're built with they're actually trees and garden right on the rooftop to help it ground. Like, what is your
love
opinion on
that.
that?
That would be amazing. I'm obsessed with all things grounding. I would love that. I think that there's just so many better ways that we can build homes. Like grounding is one of them, natural light is one of them, solar power is another big one, and really just creating a home where, you don't have to necessarily have a grounding mat because like your floors have that frequency and things like that. Yeah, that's amazing.
I had this vision of a retreat that I'm gonna build in my lifetime. I don't know if it's gonna happen this year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, we'll see. But I literally had a vision of building all this like cabins, but they're all earthing. So like even the ground, everything you feel like it gives you the same creates the same conditions as if you were outside, even though you are in a living environment. So
Breath-
when I saw
breath-
these visions, I'm like, I don't know exactly how we're gonna build that, but I know it's coming and it's gonna be on a sacred land, probably in Hawaii. Today, with your meditation, like kind of going on that journey and feeling what it's like to be fully immersed in a space that not only says you, but screams out loud, this is an extension of your energy, like that sacred haven for you, then you can truly create to the max point that you're able to create.
Mhm.
Because so much of the environment is distracting us, is affecting us in so many ways. And being that sacred place, we can truly build this new earth much easier than we think.
100%. I think at least, like, the tiny homes and that idea opened people up to, like, we need to be spending more time outside with nature, but I feel like we can take the concept of a tiny home and regular homes and bring them together, which sounds exactly like what you're talking about.
It's coming. It's beautiful. It's going to be magical. What else would you want to share with our audience in conclusion, those who are still looking for their home, whether it's physically or mentally or emotionally?
I would just let yourself know that it's okay to want what you want for a dream home. I think we're just kind of conditioned to want certain things, but through these visualization exercises, through meditations with people that you love and trust, like, just start really focusing on, like, what would make you really, really happy, and, like, how can you make it uniquely yours, and knowing that it can come to you. The more you visualize on it, the more easily that it can come. I want a hot pink fuchsia door, like, on my house.
I can definitely
Wait,
see
you're not
that.
gonna like that.
I went
So
through a pink phase myself in college, and I was like, why am I always so hypered up? And I'm like, it's the pink on the walls.
I
Like,
love
okay, gotta bring it down a little bit.
that.
Oh, that's so amazing. In other words, what Fallon is saying to you is she's giving you permission to be
Mhm.
so empowered to pick only items that you love in your home and build a home that is a true representation of you. That if I walk into your living room today, I can say that, yes, this is exactly what I expected. This is truly a reflection of who you are as a person and how you choose to show up in this realm. So if you look around and your home still has a few things to do and a few items to let go of, please do that, because that is free rent, my angels. That is free rent in your home that you keep it for somebody else. And it's time not only to take your power back, to take your space back and claim your own place in this world. Thank you, Angel. This has been such a pleasure and such an honor to get a different perspective and a new reminder of how important our sacred space is.
Absolutely, it was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Until the next time.